So we are right on time today, guys. And I have been waiting for this moment all week. Today is finally the day that we get to see Christopher DeCoste rip Wendy a new one. It's been pretty softball. I know we saw Georgia Kappelman get a little bit more jagged dagger with her the other day when I fell asleep midstream. Sorry about that, everybody. Burning the candle here, you know, guys. Plus, I have no time to prep these videos at all. I've seen them 100 times a piece, but I would love to spend the whole day watching, taking notes, writing down time signatures. But it just can't happen at the moment. Yeah. Wake up. Hot coffee. Hot coffee. Yeah, thanks all for not burning me at the stake with ridicule, you sick people. Anyway, tonight, Christopher DeCoste, cross-examination in Katherine Magbanua's retrial. 19, what is the year? 2022, Leon County. Judge Wheeler presides. And yeah, Wendy's playing a little bit of a different game. You know, we see her trial to trial. She adapts, she bobs, she weaves like a boxer in blue. Anyway, I was just looking through a few. Oh no, I lost the picture. No, okay. Well, I just found a picture of Wendy's lawyer, John LaRoe, in the blue suit. And has anybody else seen his eyes? They are completely black. Do you remember that guitarist from Limp Bizkit that had the black contacts and his whole eyes were black? It's just like that. I mean, talk about, and his expression on his face. Let me see if I can find this picture. Because it's like looking at a dead body. Just scary for a lawyer, for the Adelsons, especially Wendy. It's like a minion has been called from hell. I think it's him. I was kind of surprised when I saw the front of his face because I had only seen him from the back of the head. And I imagined a much older looking guy on the front with a beard. Where the hell is that picture? He must have, maybe Wendy will remember and tell us. Yes. No. I'm sure I knew about it when it happened, and I had my memory refreshed about it recently. Yes. My lawyer said, he told me, step into the memory machine, and then I was zapped by Dr. Zap. And my memory came back. You know, when she says this thing about I had my memory refreshed about it recently, it sounds like a clinical procedure, like all of her plastic surgery and Botox and collagen injections, right? Like she goes into a little cosmetic operating theater or whatever they call those places, and there's this doctor working on her memory. I had my memory refreshed. I had my lips refreshed, my cheek, my neck refreshed, and my memory refreshed. It was a package deal, you know. 5 for the price of 4. Anyway, where is my video tab? We're going to get straight into it, guys. No messing. I actually listened to a couple of my videos today, and I was horrified. I wouldn't subscribe, so you better not either. In fact, do, because we are about 195 subs away from memberships, guys, and I don't know what that means, but it sounds like an achievement. So keep them rolling in. Share the channel, like the channel, comment. What else? Subscribe and hit that bell, you know. Okay, we are going to share this tab instead. Is that all good? We're going to full screen this puppy. We are ready to go. So So sit back and buckle up because Christopher DeCoste is about to take us on a ride. Let me know if the audio is okay, guys, because sometimes these videos are a little quiet from the Tallahassee Democrat, and that's not my beef. If you've got a beef, you need to contact them and say, listen, we were watching your video through True Crime Metrix, and the audio was too low. Oh, roll tape, please.
Please be seated. We're ready to continue with the testimony. Ms. Kappelman, you may continue with your direct if necessary.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What?
Sir, I'm going to approach you with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 64. Ms. Adelson, did you have an opportunity to review State's 99 of disc containing wiretap calls relating to this case?
I did.
And as part of our pre-trial preparation, were you asked to listen to those calls and verify whether or not you could authenticate some of the voices on those calls?
So I was asked.
Okay, I thought we were kicking off straight into Christopher DeCoste, but we're gonna just wrap up Georgia's direct here. Give us some context to work with. Plus, I was asleep for this the other day, so
Not to listen to the whole call, but just to listen to a few seconds, enough to be able to identify the people speaking on the call.
And is that what you did?
That is what I did.
All right. And is State's Exhibit 64 a fair and accurate recording of where your initials appear?
If you're a business owner, then animated explainer videos are the best way to capture attention.
That representing that you could authenticate the voices on that particular call.
That is correct.
Okay, so for example, the list includes call A on State's Exhibit 90.
look at Georgia. I just love her. I don't know, just her in general. She's fantastic, but she's standing there next to a murderer and is keeping composure. She has a lot of class. A lot of class.
9, and you've initialed here indicating that the call is from Donna Adelson to Charlie Adelson.
That is correct.
Thank you. Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence State 64.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Be admitted as State's Exhibit 64.
No other questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Cross-examination?
Oh,
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Adelson, this is all about you, isn't it?
Excuse me?
This is all about you, right?
I was called to be a witness and I'm testifying, so I don't understand the question. Is it a question?
There's about 100 people in this courtroom, right?
There are people in the courtroom.
Possibly thousands watching, right?
I have no idea who's watching.
And it's all because of your failed marriage, right?
I disagree with that.
You disagree that your ex-husband is dead because of your family.
Yes, I disagree.
These jurors are here for weeks doing their civic duty because of your marriage, right?
No.
Katie's going.
I think I'm going to play Christopher DeCoste again from the beginning because I really don't want to interrupt his pacing, but and his physical pacing. He's conveying so much frustration. I'm really happy that the camera's zoomed out for this and we can see him because honestly, I think he should be played as an example for lawyers because he's really got the theatrics down, the tone of his voice, up and down to the podium, like straight out of the gate. Miss Adelson, this is all because of you, isn't it? It's just what a slap in the face straight off the bat, man. Just fantastic, and as far as what do I think about what he's doing, is it ethical? That's by the side. I'm just looking at a man who's good at his craft here. This is good.
Your failed.
Excuse me?
This
This.
is all about you, right?
I was called to be a witness and I'm testifying, so I don't understand the question. Is it a question?
There's about 100 people in this courtroom, right?
There are people in the courtroom.
Possibly thousands watching, right?
I have no idea who's watching.
And it's all because of your failed marriage, right?
I disagree with that.
You disagree that your ex-husband is dead because of your family.
Yes, I disagree.
These jurors are here for weeks doing their civic duty because of your marriage, right?
No,
Katie's going through this ordeal because of that marriage, right?
no.
Dan Markel's parents are going through absolute misery because of your failed marriage.
That's an interesting moment, you know. And I'd love to hear what Ruth and Phil, is it? I think it's Phil. Have to say about that, you know. Christopher DeCoste is representing someone who absolutely had a hand in the murder of their son. So they have every right to feel anger for Katherine Magbanua, and her counsel. But I'm willing to bet that they feel a lot more strongly about Wendy. And this guy is kicking Wendy in the chin. So maybe they have some kind of conflict about that. What do you think? Kind of interesting, huh? Interesting dynamic. You know, it's usually a lot more clear cut. When the parents of a murder victim are in the room, you don't normally, in a normal case, get that kind of situation where they're rooting for the guy who's representing, or possibly rooting, or possibly enjoying some of what he's doing to Wendy, giving her a hard hit of medicine here. But at the same time, you know, he's trying to get the girl off. Kind of weird. I can't think of another case where that kind of thing happens.
Isn't that right?
No, that's incorrect.
Well, let's talk about the marriage. You and Professor Markel, you met when you were in law school. You told that to Miss Kaplan. And it was a whirlwind romance, right? Right?
It was not a whirlwind romance, no.
Yeah, where did he get that? It was a whirlwind romance. And now I'm reminded of Chris Watts when he's talking to the media and he's like, I got back last night. It was a whirlwind. It was a ghost town. I wanted them to just bust through the door and barrel rush me. Chris, what are you saying? Please, Chris, tell us. The barrel rush, the ghost town whirlwind. What the fuck are you saying, Chris?
It led to a wedding, February 26th of 2006. You had a big wedding in Boca Raton, right?
Did we get married on February 26, 2006? Is that the question? Yes,
In Boca Raton.
in Boca Raton, Florida.
And it wasn't a small wedding, it was a big wedding.
There were many people in attendance.
All right, in this marriage, it led to 2 children, right? Your 2 boys.
Are you asking me if I have 2 boys?
Yes.
Yes.
And Professor Markel, he was a great father, wasn't
He was a very good father, yes.
he? Those boys were his world, right?
As well as his work, yes.
And they adored him too, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Now, this marriage started to fall apart, right?
It did.
But there were problems from the very beginning, weren't there? Right?
Are you asking me, what is the very beginning? The very beginning of when we got married?
Literally at the wedding.
There were problems before we got married.
All right, so at the wedding, and the government asked you about kosher law, right?
About what, I'm sorry?
Keeping kosher,
About keeping kosher, yes.
right?
The government
And your
asked.
wedding, at your wedding was the groom's family, the Markel family, and they are more strict than your family and friends about keeping kosher.
They do not keep kosher.
Wasn't that one of the problems in your marriage, that Professor Markel was very insistent about keeping kosher.
about his kosher rules, but those are different than his family's.
So you're saying that it wasn't a problem at the wedding, that there were people from the groom's side of the family that were there that strictly keep kosher?
What, like the rabbi himself, the guy that was what do you call it? Officiating? Is that the term? Who pronounces them man and wife? That guy couldn't eat. He had to leave.
That they were told that it was going to be kosher food, but it actually wasn't.
So there was a misunderstanding about whether the food was going to be kosher style or more in adherence with kosher law. There was a miscommunication about that.
So
That
you had
happened.
people that strictly keep kosher eating non-kosher food, which is a big deal.
That actually is not what happened. You had Danny was upset that it was kosher style and not strictly.
By the
adhering
way,
to kosher
guys,
law.
I've been working on some designs for kosher style merch, just whoring out the merch, mugs, fucking t-shirts, whatever. Like a whatever. And but then I thought, how is this going to be like anti-Semitic merchandise? Like, maybe I should put a disclaimer on the back of the mug, like saying Jews are fine, and this is a joke on the Adelson case, but it's kind of feels like a little tricky, like will I be called a Hamas supporter? Fucking Hezbollah. I just wanted to sell a mug.
So he was disappointed.
So there's problems right from the beginning.
That was a problem at our wedding. Yeah.
Fast forward now to September 10th, 2012. Professor Markel, he's away on a business trip, right?
Yes.
He's in New York City at New York University, right?
I believe so. Yes.
And he's doing a presentation.
I don't know what he was doing.
Your husband at the time was in New York to give a presentation. You knew that, right?
I knew he was in New York. I didn't know if he was attending a conference or giving a presentation.
So there's we're always talking about Wendy's weird doll face, what do people call it, fembot, blah blah blah, wide eyes. But there's something different with Christopher DeCoste, is this wrinkled brow, forehead. She doesn't have that with Georgia Kappelman, not constantly like this. And look how high the wrinkles start on her face. Is that not a really good indicator that Botox is right there, like in the 2 inches above her eyebrows, but stops? That's all the money she had. Like, it's impossible to wrinkle her forehead. If a bee stung her on her forehead, it would fall off and die from the chemicals.
But he was in New York for work.
Now, you had not communicated with him for 2 days.
I really don't remember.
You text him at around 2:30 in the afternoon.
Well, couldn't you step into the memory machine and be zapped by Dr. Zap and then have your memory refreshed? Like, why?
Afternoon, right? Right before he's about to do the presentation.
I really don't remember.
But you do remember dropping the bomb on him, don't you? Telling him that you wanted a divorce.
So I did not drop a bomb on him. We'd been in therapy for several months beforehand where I'd told him several times I wanted a divorce.
You say it's not a bomb, but you agree with me that he begged you to reconsider.
He was very upset and yes, wanted me to reconsider, but
in that phone call, he's begging you to reconsider. Please don't leave. Please don't break up our family, right?
he was very upset, yes.
And he was heartbroken. I mean, upset indicates that there was anger. What he was heartbroken, right?
That I decided to divorce him after telling him I would, yes.
Despite being at NYU for a presentation, He rushes home. He gets on the next flight, right?
I honestly don't remember if he got on the next flight, but he did come home quickly.
2:30, he finds out in New York. By 11 p.m., he's walking in the door to your old house at Trescott Drive, right?
I don't know.
But you do know that when he walks in the house, what he finds. You know that, right?
Yes, I left him the papers.
You left the divorce papers on the bed, right?
Yes,
Half the furniture was gone.
half the furniture was not gone.
A good amount of his stuff was gone.
Nothing of his was gone.
The boys' stuff was gone, right?
Some of the boys' things were gone. I'd taken enough so that I had for the boys, but no,
You were gone,
I was gone, yes.
and so were his boys.
His boys were not gone. He saw them the next day, and they would not.
What about the Schwab accounts that have been emptied? She took like 300 grand and stuff out of the safe. All the jewels and precious metals were taken. And the Holocaust diamond, of course. You know, I heard she took half the dining chairs, you know, from a set. The bike, the tennis racket. She's acting like she took a weekend bag to get out when it was safe from this crazed maniac Markel, who was in New York, probably talking to some no-nonsense rabbis who were going to come down to Florida. You know?
Not have been awake if he's coming home at 11 p.m.
Let's stay on topic here.
I'd
When
love
he
to stay on
walks in the
topic.
when he walks in the door,
Yeah, hey, Wendy, the topic is we're here on trial for someone accused of murdering your children's father, and you couldn't be acting less helpful. You're being incredibly nonchalant and what is the word? You know, where you just don't really care either way. You know, like she's acting like she's being asked questions by, I don't know, what's an example? Like if someone were planning a party for someone she doesn't really like, and they were saying, well, we were thinking to get all pink and blue balloons, but then because he's a Mexican, we thought we might get like white, red, and green. And she's like, yeah, well, either way would be good, you know, so I need to go. But definitely serve paella with extra shellfish.
boys are not in the house, right?
Correct.
And you did not tell Professor Markel where you were taking the boys. He may have seen them the next day, but you did not let him know where you were going to be staying with his boys.
With our boys? Yes.
Being traumatized is an illness of not feeling fully alive in the present.
So you agree with me that they're also his.
Of course they're his.
And he should be entitled to know where his wife is taking his children.
Absolutely.
That's not all you took, is it?
Excuse me?
You two had a joint checking account at Schwab, right?
We did.
And you went into that account before you dropped the bomb, and you took out half of that account, right?
Correct.
Roughly $350,000.
Half, yes. Of our joint account.
$350,000.
I don't remember the amount, but yes.
You know that it was in the hundreds of thousands.
I really don't remember the amount, sir.
Is it that insignificant of a sum to you that you
I'm
don't
not saying it's
remember?
an insignificant sum. I'm saying I can't attest to the amount that was there.
I'm going to tone it down. You were unhappy in the marriage, right?
That's why I got divorced, yes.
And it happens. Marriages fall apart, right?
Yes.
But you complained constantly about it, didn't you?
No, I don't think I complained constantly.
To anyone that would listen.
No, that's not true.
You agree with me that you complained to the one person that would actually do something about it.
I don't understand what you're asking.
Your big brother, Charles Adelson, you complained to him about how bad Professor Markel was and how much you hated him and didn't want to be in a marriage with him?
I definitely talked to my brother about how unhappy I was in my marriage. If that's the question, then yes.
Let's
Is
talk
that the
about it.
question?
Yes, that is a question. You talked to your brother, Charles Adelson, about how bad your marriage was.
I did, yes.
Let's talk about it. Government asked you about Charles Adelson. He's an intelligent guy, right?
He is smart.
Yeah. He's both book smart and street smart, right?
I would say so.
You would say that he's a talker.
He does like to talk.
He's got the gift of gab, so to speak.
I wouldn't say he's the gift of gab, but he does talk.
He knows what to say in the moment.
I wouldn't say that's true either.
You would say, though, that he is. Now, you were asked questions about, drug purchasing and stuff like that. You'd agree with me that he's also street smart.
I mean, I think he has common sense.
And that he lives life to a certain extent on both sides of the track. During the day, he's doing periodontal work, whatever that is, crowns, root canals.
Yeah, Mary Bartlett says, this lawyer is absolutely amazing. Thank you for showing this. Absolutely amazing. I mean, I think a lot of time when people get jury service, it's boring. It's like watching the paint dry, right? But you can imagine the jury coming out after this, like they've just seen a mind-blowing play, and they come out just stunned, looking at each other, like just talking without words, just with eye contact, going, what did we just see? He just really keeps people's attention. He's fantastic pacing. Fantastic.
Whatever that is. He's doing that during the day. At night, he's out with friends, he's buying drugs, he's living life on both sides of the track.
I don't know about that he's out buying drugs.
Now, let's talk for a second about WhatsApp. And as an aside here for a second, the government asked you the question if you used WhatsApp, right? You remember that?
I remember them asking me, yes.
On the day that Professor Markel was killed, you went in for the interview, right?
I talked to the police.
And you also gave them your phone for them to inspect.
Absolutely.
So the determination of what, if any, WhatsApp was being used, they would have from the download they did that day of your phone.
Sure.
Now, would you be surprised to learn that your brother used WhatsApp?
No.
You would agree with me that WhatsApp, and you explained it well, is end-to-end encryption.
Correct.
In your lay opinion, if you can explain to the jurors, just in case they don't know, what that means.
I know that it's something we use at my work because essentially it has the ability to keep things more private. I also know that nothing's actually private and that anyone who wants to can uncode the messages. So that's what we tell people at our work.
So the thought is with WhatsApp, if I use my phone and I call somebody, the call could be listened to. If I text somebody, it's recordable, right?
I think so.
But with WhatsApp, you can send messages or have phone calls where there's no record of it.
I don't think that's true. I think there is still a record of it.
But
there's a record of it. I mean, my understanding of this is that if you've... Okay, so say there's a phone in location A and a phone in location B. And phone A sends a WhatsApp message to phone B. The end-to-end encryption part is meaning that a third device can't read the message while it's traveling from phone A to phone B. Of course, if you go to phone A or go to phone B, you can have the messages, but it can't be intercepted in the middle, whereas a regular SMS message could be. That's my understanding of it. Does anyone know enough to confirm that or agree or disagree or tell us more? Because, I think it's pretty clear from the title, isn't it? End-to-end encryption.
Thought. I'll withdraw that question. Your lay understanding, though, is that the footprint that it leaves is much less than that of normal communications.
I think it's different, but I think it still leaves a digital footprint that's easily uncodable.
If you were to send a WhatsApp message to Ms. Kaplan, it would show that a message was sent, but it would be hard to get what the content of the message is.
I don't think that's true.
All right. Let's talk about your brother's jokes now. You don't deny that he joked about hiring a hitman.
He did.
You don't deny that he repeated this joke.
He did.
And he made this joke right before a hitman murdered Professor Markel.
I don't know that to be true.
Okay. He made the joke right before, and I'll leave out the hitman part, Professor Markel was killed.
He made the joke the morning that I talked to him.
Can you think of one person in this world that would actually hire two people to go kill Professor Markel other than your family?
Oh my God, this part here, right? She looks at the judge. I love how Robert Wheeler doesn't buy this, doesn't respond to this. This is like teacher's pet at the front of the class, using her knowledge of the legal process, the standard of evidence, and blah, 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 blah. You know, she's practically objecting to his question, like a formal legal objection that if anyone's going to be doing it would be Georgia Kappelman. But Georgia Kappelman's quite happy to let Wendy hang up here. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was saying the other day, is that with this case, certainly with two witnesses, Wendy and Jeff, the prosecution and the defense both like Jeff, both don't like Wendy. So not many people object for either. You know, they're kind of on the same page, which is really unusual as well. It's another thing that's like super unusual about this case. And now she looks at the judge. Your Honor, Miss Adelson, answer my question. I'd love to answer your question, but it calls for an unbelievable amount of speculation.
Ms. Adelson, please address me and answer the
It
question.
calls for an unbelievable amount of speculation. I mean, I'm responsible for coming up with, that's the prosecutor's duty, no, to figure out who's responsible.
You just said a moment ago that you disagree that hitman killed Professor Markel. That's what you said, right? So my question to you is, if you're able to say, well, it wasn't hitman, then who? Tell this jury, who on this planet would have wanted to kill Professor Markel?
I have no idea.
All right, let's get into that a little bit. But I want to make sure that's clear. This joke is made right before Professor Markel is murdered, right?
The joke was made many times.
It was made right before Professor Markel was murdered. Yes or no?
Yes.
It's not even something that you could call a joke. Why does he keep saying it? For a whole year? Like she left in 2013, right? Or was it? No, it was 2012 that she left, and the divorce was finalized in 2013, I think. So he bought her the TV when she left. So he's been saying this for 2 years. Oh, I got her a TV. It was cheaper than hiring a hitman. I went with my gut. Yeah, I went with my magic gut. It said, you know, doesn't even make sense, you know, because they don't serve a purpose, like a mutual, a common purpose. You know, you'd say, I got her a, I don't know. I got her a hat because it was cheaper than a wig. It was something to put on her head. Why would he repeat that over and over again to the point where they have to admit it in court? And on the day of, and she's saying it to the TV repair guy and to Jeff. And to the cops on the day he was shot. Did she say it's the guy in the liquor store when she bought the bullet bourbon? Oh, yeah, I need this because my TV, my divorce present TV, what the fuck? It's just unnecessary.
July 18, 2014, you're interviewed and you make a statement saying, I knew this would happen. You said that, right?
I did.
Now I want to talk about your knowledge and your belief on this. You're a smart person, right?
How am I
Whoa.
supposed to answer that?
Did you see that melting grin? I'm trying to read the eyes there, though. Those eyes are not smiling. Those eyes are the eyes of a predator before it devours its prey, its milk and meat, you know? Really twisted. But right as he asks the question, her face starts to vortex into this, like,
You're a smart person, right?
How am I supposed to answer
Ah.
that?
Well, let's go through your resume. You went to Brandeis.
maybe it's all the chemicals pumped into her face. There's something weird about that. Just kind of melts.
right?
How am I supposed to answer that?
Really evil. It's like a Disney cartoon evil.
Let's go through your resume. You went to Brandeis University, right?
I did.
You graduated magna cum laude.
I did.
If you could explain to the jury what that means.
It means I studied a lot and got good grades.
It means, and to speak, I'm from the Northeast. My Boston accent may give it away. It means you're wicked smart, right?
That's
You
very
had a
nice.
high
Thank you.
GPA, a very high GPA.
I work hard.
I wouldn't say he has a Boston accent. I didn't pick up on that before he said wicked smart. You know, it's not like do you remember the detective in the Philip Markoff interrogation? What was it? The Craigslist killer, the guy who was booking hookers in hotel rooms and robbing them and blowing all the money in a casino in Connecticut. You know, and yeah, that was funny. That detective was hilarious. I don't know if I can do a Boston accent though. Come on, Phil. We already know, Phil. Come on. Why? It's tough to do Boston accent. It's crazy.
You also went and you got a master's degree from the University of Cambridge.
I did.
You were a Gates Scholar.
I was.
You then go to the University of Miami School of Law, which is a top tier law school, tier 1, right?
Okay.
Right? We're talking about your level of intelligence. You went to the University of Miami Law School, right?
I did, yes.
You also clerked at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, right?
I did.
Now, to get a clerkship out of law school, it's a very difficult thing to do, right?
It's challenging.
You have to have top grades. You have to go through a rigorous selection process, right?
Yes.
You then become a professor at the Florida State University College of Law, right?
Yes.
You're also a published author. Right.
Now you're just embarrassing me.
Why?
You're embarrassing yourself, Sweet Peach. Hey, 544 Camp Street. Nice to have you on, man. I am interested in your take on the Watts case. I saw that was the case that launched your website or whatever, and I've been thinking about making a Watts fit. My take on the Watts case, yeah, I think that'll actually be a really good piece of material to get into, because to be honest with you, the last few videos with the trial testimonies, I don't find there's a lot of areas to do a commentary on. They're already a kind of commentary. And, the Georgia Kappelman flow of things, so far with this Wendy Testimonies playlist, it's kind of like I don't know. I've just been feeling a bit superfluous. I much preferred going through Wendy's interview, Jeff's interviews, Tamara Demko. Hey, anybody watching who hasn't seen those videos, they're on the channel and they're great. So you should go watch them and subscribe to the channel because we're so close. We're so close to memberships, and we don't know what that means, but it sounds fancy, and that's what we're about. Yeah, the case on the Watts case, though, again, that's not there wasn't a trial, so there isn't any testimonies. But I would really like to just do some long haul videos going through the body cam footage, maybe going through some of Nicole Kassinger's interviews, and certainly what a fantastic example of interrogation. I mean, from I think it's Graham Coder and Tammy what was her name? You know, blonde, black and white stripes, the polygrapher, whatever. Fantastic and really lengthy. And just loved the way those questions were formed. So interesting to see Chris tick through the whole process. And yeah, I think we'll going to be doing a few more Adelson Markel case related videos for a week or two. Then we might change topic for a while and maybe just do the Watts case. Do a few videos on the Watts case and then come back to the Adelson. So guys, if that's your kick, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the channel, comment on the channel, share the channel, ring that bell, and whatever else you can do. We love the support and thank you so much.
Why are you embarrassed that you're a published author?
I don't like talking about myself.
Is it because the book that you wrote discredited Tallahassee and spoke ill of it?
The book did not discredit Tallahassee. It wasn't about Tallahassee.
Let's stay on topic and ask a
But
question.
yeah, it was about Hiawassee Springs, okay? Nothing to do with Tallahassee or Florida State University. In fact, the university in the book was called North Florida State University, indicating that it was in northern Florida, Hiawassee Springs. No, I think I saw a sign for Hiawassee Springs while I was breastfeeding 2 children at the same time on in the what was it, the Umpka Humpka Oompa Loompa rest stop. Even that, she just hates all of this country bumpkin pig racing Tallahassee name. She's like, listen, if it's not Miami or Fort Lauderdale or Boca Raton or Coral Springs.
And again, with everything that we just went through, you're a smart woman, right?
I am a smart woman.
There's information about this case everywhere. You'd agree with me on that, right?
I've been advised by my lawyer not to read it.
All right. Now, we're not talking about reading stuff. There's podcasts,
Also not to listen.
TV shows,
Also not to watch.
articles.
Don't read.
And so you've made the decision. Now you're a lawyer.
So just think about that. Let's imagine that she's completely innocent, doesn't know anything. What she does know is that her 2 sons have a biological father, and that biological father was murdered in his own garage by a bullet entering his face and going through his brain, leaving half his chin on the dashboard and everything like that. Now, if that happened to me, to someone I loved, or even some ex, some terrible ex that was awful. Not that he was, but if that was the line I was going with. But I would read everything, and I would be living at the police station with General Isom. having lunch with him at his desk every day. You know, sharing tacos, sharing burritos, and working on the case. Oh, my lawyer advised me not to watch, or listen, or read. It's completely ridiculous. And the amazing thing is that as a magna cum laude graduate and clerk and all the rest of her prestigious credentials, she, of course, understands the standard of proof and that it doesn't fucking matter that the jury might be looking at this and going, nah, she's way too weird. There's something up with this. Because all that what matters is, has that standard of proof been met? And she knows it hasn't. And Georgia Kappelman knows that she knows it hasn't. So Georgia Kappelman's job is to find something that Wendy hasn't thought about. I believe that she has, and I believe that we don't know what that is yet. You know, I believe we will find out together as a group at Wendy's trial, which is going to be great, isn't it? Hey, Rabbit, where's Rabbit? Are we still having a catered event at your house with paella and an omelet bar and stock the bar with bullet bourbon?
Yourself too, right?
I am.
And you made the decision, I'm not going to look at any of this stuff.
Correct.
I don't want to know what happened to the father of my 2 children.
Not I don't want to know what happened.
How can you say you love those boys if you don't care who killed the father that they loved?
Of course I care who killed the father that they loved.
Then why won't you look at the stuff?
I've been advised not to.
Are you afraid that when you look at it, you're going to realize that your brother did this?
I am not afraid of that.
Now, of course, you've, and we won't.
Really holding in the anger, isn't she? That was very controlled, softly spoken. I am not afraid of that. You know, she is not used to being spoken to like this by anybody. And if anyone even came close to daring, they would, you know, she'd have them falsely accused of sexual harassment or get some, you know, legislature to have them condemned immediately.
Won't get into privileged communications, but you've spoken to your lawyer about the case.
How are we not getting into privileged communications? Yes, I've spoken to my lawyer about the case.
You're very intelligent. You have one of the top defense attorneys in the country, former federal prosecutor, John Lower, right there in the blue suit, right?
He is my attorney.
You're telling me with all of this at your disposal, your intelligence, his experience, and all this information, that you don't care to find out who it is that killed Professor Markel?
This is not that I don't care to find out. My job is to take care of those boys, and that is what I do. I don't see how it helps take care of them to go reading and watching and soaking up all of the horrible information that's out there.
You don't realize that you could be helpful in finally untangling this to give this jury the truth about what happened to Professor Markel?
I have been nothing but helpful since this started.
So what happened to their son? By you looking at it, you are at the center of all this, but you won't look at anything to help in the process.
I've done nothing but help in this process.
You came here and testified.
I came here and testified. I spoke to the police for 6 hours without anyone present. I signed over my cell phone, my car, my house, everything, my computer. What else do I have or know that you haven't seen?
You came here because you were subpoenaed and had no choice.
Correct.
Right?
This is not fun. I would not do this by choice.
You've been inconvenienced.
I've not been inconvenienced.
Professor Markel was shot in the head.
I'm not complaining about being here. This is my duty. I'm here.
We'll get back to you complaining about being here. Do you honestly expect this jury to believe that you haven't confronted your brother about all of this?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you did confront him?
Yes, I do expect them to believe that I did not confront my brother because I didn't.
maybe you don't need to because you know the truth in this case. You already know it. That he went behind your back, right?
Did not happen.
Just like he has done with past boyfriends. He's done that in the past where he's gone behind your back.
Okay, so Bob from accounting says, is this Jodi Arias in a Wendy suit? And I just wanted to say that although both of these women, Jodi and Wendy, are completely psychopathic, I would 100% rather be locked in a room with Jodi. I feel like I could actually, well, I don't know, it's a tough one. But out of the two, I'd rather talk to Jodi. I could not stand being around Wendy for 5 minutes, even if we were just not talking about this case at all, just in general terms. I find her utterly intolerable. And they're both intelligent. Jodi's intelligent, sharp mind, high IQ. And Wendy, yeah, she's intelligent, I guess. But out of the two, Wendy's a lot more duplicitous. And don't get me wrong, they're both terrible. But I just could not be around Wendy for 5 minutes talking with her or being near enough to hear her speak. Oh, and, you know, I've seen her a couple of times out of this context speaking to I don't know if audience is the, well, yeah, and you know, there was the son's bar mitzvah where she was giving a speech saying, "I know if Abba were here today, he would be so proud." It's like, you sick, twisted bitch. And then you know, that was really flat, not talented public speaker, completely uninteresting. And the other time she was doing that like lecture at a university, or maybe it was a presentation for a company, wearing this same suit, this horrible suit. Does anyone know who makes that? Is that a known designer? Has anyone got a picture of another woman wearing the same suit? Because it's really a trademark of hers. Is it 2 trials, and she wore it in some lecture that was also online, or presentation. But yeah, completely not talented as a speaker. Sometimes you see someone give a presentation and they could be talking about railway tracks, and it's gripping. You know, you're totally on the edge of your seat going, "Tell me more." But Wendy could be talking about a really interesting subject and make people want to leave the room. You know, "I'm going to the bar."
When you were having problems in a relationship and dealt with it himself.
No.
Miss Adelson, you understand that until you expose your brother what he did, that everybody's going to consider you as guilty. You understand that, right?
What is the question that you're asking me?
You understand that until
You'll remain guilty in the eyes of the world. Okay, Angela says, "This was staged. Wendi and DeCoste are in it together. So fake." Now, this is interesting because I was saying recently or a while ago that Tara Kawas and Christopher DeCoste, and there's a third lawyer who handles the admin on the table. Tara and Christopher are clearly, at a minimum, for a trial like this, at a minimum, 100 grand a piece. And the line from Tara Kawas and from Katie herself is that her family put up the money. Oh, excuse me. The line from Tara and Katie is that her family, Katie's family, put up the money for her defense. So say at a bare minimum, it was 200 grand. And there were 2 trials, don't forget. I mean, even if they got, 2 for the price of 1, 200 grand, 400 grand, even 100 grand for everything. Huge amount of money for Katie's family. These aren't wealthy people. How would they come up with that kind of cash? So, and this is nothing new, but let's say Charlie or the Adelsons in the wider family of the Adelsons paid for Katie's defense and had some direction that they wanted the defense to go in that might well not be for anything to do with Katie's interests. What if they had to act like they were trying to do a good job for Katie? Because there's a few things that come up from both Tara and Christopher DeCoste where they seem to be saying something that goes against Katie's interests, right? So if the best way to keep the law away from Charlie, now at this point Charlie has already been arrested, but he's not been tried, so they're still acting within this plan. If the best way to keep the law from Charlie was for them to act like they were pushing to blame Charlie, like saying, you complained to the one person that would do something about it, your big brother, right, Miss Adelson? But other things that they were doing made them look like they were just doing fancy lawyer tricks. The way he comes out of the gate with his theatrics at the beginning, all of this is all about your bad marriage, isn't it, Miss Adelson? So if he does all these fancy tricks that people call, lawyer tricks, Rashbaum says, make sure I'm not doing any lawyer tricks, untrustworthy lawyer tricks. If they're making themselves look like those kind of lawyers, that removes credibility from their story of blaming Charlie, right? If they're doing tricks, they look like liars. And if part of their story is Charlie did it, that looks like a lie. Do you see what I mean? Now, as far as Wendy being in on this, I'm less inclined to believe that because she looks genuinely pissed off here. And I don't think she can act well, as we saw in her police interview. General Ison might disagree, but yeah. Food for thought. That thing about, I hope I explained that well enough. What do people think about that? If Tara and Christopher are purposefully looking like people doing lawyer tricks and then coupling that with pointing the finger at Charlie, because the proximity of those two things makes it look like they're liars, and if they're saying Charlie did it, then that's thrown into their group of lies, right? So it's kind of interesting. Maybe it's conspiracy theory stuff. Maybe it's too complicated, but you got to wonder what's going on, because surely the Adelsons had to pay for Katie's defense. And it's not like they did it because they give a shit about her. But if they get to Katie, they get closer to Charlie, obviously. Oh, where's it gone now? Roll tape, please.
Expose your brother and explain what he did. He went behind everybody's back. They hired a hitman to murder your ex-husband. You'll remain guilty in the eyes of the world.
I can't speak to the eyes of the world. I can only know that I have done nothing wrong.
Or maybe you are guilty.
I am not guilty.
So, a witness in this case.
Love that. Well, maybe you are guilty. It's like what's her name? Camille Vasquez in the Amber Heard thing. You know, you also consumed drugs at Coachella, didn't you, Miss Heard? In fact, you consumed MDMA and mushrooms at the same time. Isn't that so? Your driver testified he had to take you back to your hotel, stopping at a 7-Eleven to purchase hydrating fluids, Adderall, and a pot noodle for yourself.
And I'm not going to get into their testimony, but one of the hitmen, the convicted hitman, implicates you. On July 17, 2014, the day before the murder, the morning before, he says that you were walking on Trescott with the two boys, that you walked down the driveway and into the house.
That never happened.
Right, because Professor Markel, I apologize, Professor Markel, he had the kids. Based on the way that your guy's schedule was, on that day, he would have had the children in the morning, and you're going through such a bad divorce, you wouldn't be at his house, right?
I wouldn't be at his house anyway, but not because we were going through a bad divorce. At that time, things were pretty copacetic.
All right, so we're coming back to maybe you do know, or maybe you were involved.
Excuse me? What's the question that you're asking me?
I'm giving you a header of what we're talking about so that it will ease you in the question, okay? I'm just telling you what the topic that we're on, so we'll get to a question. Now, the government asked you about a time that you met Miss Magbanua. It was actually spring break of March 2014, right?
I believe so.
You went down to Miami. You stayed with your brother, Charles.
I went down to Fort Lauderdale after being in Immokalee and stayed with my brother.
You then went to Miami Beach to Yardbird and had dinner outside with your boyfriend at the time, or who you were dating, Jeffrey DeCoste. Katherine Magbanua was there, and your brother, Charles Adelson, and you all ate outside, right?
We did.
And that's on Miami Beach, not in Fort Lauderdale.
Correct.
Now, just for context, Jeffrey DeCoste, he was also an FSU professor, not at the law school, but an FSU professor. Nice guy, right?
I don't think so now.
Now, you deny, I'm assuming, that on July 13, 2014.
Apathetic. Yeah. Okay, Bob from accounting. That would fit with what I was looking for. Thank you.
You told Jeffrey DeCoste that Charles looked into hiring a hitman. You deny that, or do you admit that?
I deny that.
And that you told him that Charles looked into hiring a hitman back in September of 2013.
That never happened.
Which would have been months before your brother even met Katherine Magbanua.
I don't remember when they met.
Letting you know the topic we're on, we're talking about you being involved. That same week, earlier in the week, you sent an email. We're talking about the week of the murder now, not spring break, the week of the murder, not Yardbird, the week of the murder. You sent an email to Jeffrey DeCoste saying that you wanted to break up, that you needed space, right?
I did.
Sent him a long email, stay away, we're broken up, right?
I did.
You knew that on July 18, 2014, Jeffrey DeCoste was leaving town to go on a trip, right?
I knew he was leaving at some point that week. I don't remember when.
You knew that he was leaving on the same day of the murder at the same exact time as the murder.
I don't think I did.
11 a.m. on July 18, 2014.
I don't think I knew when he was leaving town.
It's a good way to put the blame onto somebody else. You'd agree on that, right? If it happened, it would have been a good way to put the blame on somebody else.
I have no idea when he was going to leave town.
Your interview, July 18, 2014, you said, you know, my brother, he joked about hiring a hitman. Perhaps that was you just planting a seed to divert the attention of law enforcement away from you.
It was not.
Let's jump off topic right now and talk about your boys' names. That in the time after the murder, you changed their last names from Markel to Adelson, right?
A year later, yes.
Why?
I was scared
Of what?
of someone coming to attack them.
Yeah, Christopher DeCoste, you know, he can do so much with just one word. You know, he just said two one words separately. Why and of what? And there was just so much to it. Why? You know, it's so, I don't know if leading is the right word, but it just, it's like he's painting, you know, it's like he's painting an image. He's just like directing the flow of information like a river, like the waters of a river. And it's just wonderful what he does. I really like listening to him. He's very dynamic. Yeah. Whatever his motives are, it's fantastic. Those boys were his world.
So it's a year later, you won't look at anything because you don't want to know what's going on in the case. And the thought is, well, they're going to be protected if they have my last name and not Markel, right?
Yes.
Now, years later, arrests are made. It's clear who committed the murder, Sigfredo Garcia, Luis Rivera. The Adelson name has been dragged through the mud. Why haven't you continued to protect your boys and changed the name back?
I will be changing. I'm not going to change the name back. I don't think that will help. One day I'll change all of our names.
The government asked you about immunity, so let's get into that. You explained that as an attorney, you understand that when the government gives a subpoena for somebody to testify, that it conveys immunity. Right?
That's my understanding. My knowledge of criminal law dates back to 2003 when I took a semester in law school. So forgive me.
Graduated law school, right?
This isn't my area of law.
When you clerked on the 11th Circuit, it was with Judge Jordan, right?
I did immigration appeals.
Yeah, but you still dealt with criminal stuff as well, too.
Very little.
So your understanding, though, is it doesn't mean they can't arrest you. They just can't use what you say here against you later on. So you're protected.
Correct.
And you needed that to testify, right?
It's just given to testify. It's not a question of whether I needed it. It comes with testifying.
You fear being charged by them. So you need to have that protection of your
I don't
words.
fear being charged for a crime I didn't commit. No.
Now, y'all had this nice exchange where it was pleasant, but there's actually tension.
Yeah, no one gets falsely convicted in our legal system. It doesn't happen.
Between you and this office, right?
No.
They recently had your brother Charles Adelson arrested, and he's in custody, right?
Correct.
For first-degree murder.
Correct.
And there's no tension?
It's very uncomfortable to be here. It's hard to tell where the tension is coming from.
They've discussed your involvement in this case. They insinuated on the direct
Hey,
examination.
Wendy,
There's no-
Wendy, the tension is coming from all angles, dear. Okay? No one likes you in this room. Everyone thinks you're weird and that you know and that you planned. And you know, the only guy on your side is the guy with the eyes that are completely black. John Laureau. I'll see if I can find that image later, guys. Gotta see this guy's eyes. It's like, it's just a demon.
No tension?
Lots of media insinuates that I did something I didn't do too. I can't feel tension towards every person in the world.
That's funny. I thought you didn't look at anything.
I don't. That's why.
But you know that you know about the media, but you don't know about the media?
I know about the media because it keeps me from employment. It keeps me from lots of things in my life. I'm aware of what's there, but I don't read the minutia so I can sleep at night.
Ms. Adelson, 5 minutes ago, you said you don't look at any of that stuff.
I
Now I
don't
asked you a
look at
question.
it.
Let me finish.
Sure.
5 minutes ago, you say you don't look at any of that stuff. Now I ask you a question, you say you look at stuff.
That's not actually what I said. I said I'm aware that it exists, but I don't read it. I don't listen to it.
Then how do you know that they're bashing you?
You just told me they are.
I did.
Bad answer. And Christopher DeCoste picks up on that. He knows the jury picked up on it, and he says, I did. You just told me they are. It's like, just think about that. They're saying, you know about the media, but you don't know about the media. I don't read any media. Then how do you know? Well, you just told me. I did. It's very good at knowing where the jury are at. We never see the jury, of course, but I think you get a really good sense in this video, especially, that the jury are quite easily following the train of thought that Christopher DeCoste is producing, and they're hitting blocks with Wendy's, responses. They're not adding up well for her. And that was a prime example. She kind of gets tangled there in this thing of knowing about the media, and her answer is, you just told me they are. And he didn't, did he? Let's see it again.
It keeps me from lots of things in my life. I'm aware of what's there, but I don't read the minutia so I can sleep at night.
Ms. Adelson, 5 minutes ago, you said you don't look at any of that stuff.
I
Now I
don't
asked you a
look at
question.
it.
Let me finish.
Sure.
5 minutes ago, you say you don't look at any of that stuff. Now I ask you a question, you say you look at stuff.
That's not actually what I said. I said I'm aware that it exists, but I don't read it. I don't listen to it.
Then how do you know that they're bashing you?
You just told me they are.
I did?
Yeah.
How about this? We'll come back to it. You can think up a better answer, okay?
I'm not thinking up an answer. I'm telling you the truth. I'm sorry if you don't want to listen to it.
Your basic understanding of
That whole scene was like having, catching a 17-year-old out in some bullshit that they're saying, and they think they're smart, and that you can't see exactly what they're doing. You know what I mean? They think they've won the argument, but really all they've done is proven how bad their argument was.
criminal law, though, you know that if the defense gives you a subpoena, you get no immunity.
Correction, improper question.
I'm not going beyond that question.
All right, that's the only question you can ask him now.
If I give you a subpoena, you don't get immunity, right?
Correct.
Let's talk about your parents. The government asked you about your mother and father, Donna and Harvey, right? The government could do the same and subpoena them so that this jury can watch them get questioned, not nicely how Ms. Kaplan questioned you, but to be cross-examined by me.
Objection, improper question.
I'm going to sustain that. Ask a different question.
Are your parents here in Tallahassee right now?
No.
Are they back in Miami?
Yes.
Do they have any plans of coming here this week or next?
I don't think so.
No. Your family dynamic. It is your mother and father, Harvey and Donna. There's you, you're the youngest, Charles, and then the oldest, Robert. Right?
Correct.
And he's a doctor up in New York.
Correct.
Now, the government asked you about the relationship, and you're like, we don't talk much. It's actually much deeper than that with Robert, isn't it?
We don't talk
At all.
at all.
And the reason is because your parents were so difficult about the woman that is now his wife.
That is not the reason why we don't talk.
I'm not talking about the reason why you don't talk. Let me clarify it. The reason why your parents don't talk to him.
That's not the reason why they don't talk with him.
Are you saying to this jury that there wasn't a problem where they outright objected to his marriage of a woman that was not of the Jewish faith?
That was initially what happened, and then there was actually a beautiful reconciliation, and they're very happy about the marriage.
Robert and his wife, not your family.
Robert and his wife and our family were very happy about Robert's marriage.
So what happens is that Robert is in love with a woman. Your parents object. He breaks up with her and then dates a Jewish woman, right?
And then they got married and divorced, and then he got back together with the person he wanted to be married to. Yes.
With his true love.
Yes.
But there was a lot of tension in your family because of your family's involvement in the kids' marriages, right?
Yes.
Let's talk briefly about your children. The government had asked you, and the topic of the Jewish faith, keeping kosher. You mentioned a bat mitzvah at one point in time. You're currently planning a bat mitzvah for your oldest, right?
No, it already happened.
Okay, now that is a very, Christopher, I'm obviously not Jewish, but my understanding is that it is a very, very important thing in the Jewish faith.
It's a very important milestone.
And for those that are very conservative in the Jewish faith, those that keep kosher, so to speak, it's even bigger.
I don't know that it's more important to one segment of Judaism over another, but it's an important coming of age ceremony.
It's where a boy becomes a man. Did you invite?
Yeah, hey, Amy Bowen. The phone calls are good content. I was thinking about doing, this is quite a short video. So I was thinking about skipping over after this to a random Charlie Adelson jailhouse phone call, maybe just after the conviction or the sentencing. And just going through some of that, listening to him whine like a little bitch. And Donna say things like, no, we know what happened. We know what happened. They didn't listen. They didn't deliberate.
Dan Markel's parents, the kid's grandparents?
I did.
You invited them?
I invited them, yes.
When was the last time they saw face-to-face their grandchildren?
April 20th,
Of this year?
just now.
And you agree with me that it had been years since 2016, since the last time they had seen them?
The visit stopped when they threatened to put my children in foster care, yes. But up until that point, they did have visits.
Yeah, Bob, that red bar mitzvah dress was totally, I mean, you could not be more less appropriately dressed for your son's bar mitzvah in a synagogue in front of a rabbi, the coming of age ceremony for your son. He enters a boy, he leaves a man, and you're there with your boobs just like fully out. I mean, distasteful. I think, time and a place for all types of dress and whatever, but that wasn't it.
You got no problem letting them see your brother Charles, right?
I'm sorry?
You have no problem letting them hang out with your brother Charles, who's now sitting in custody for first-degree murder.
Oh, they can't see him now, can they?
No, they can't, but I'll ask the questions. For years, they weren't able to see their grandchildren despite their...
Every lawyer has their own moments where they say some variation of that. I'll ask the questions here, Miss Thorndyke. No, they can't, but I'll ask the questions. That's the classic lawyer phrase, What's the guy's name from To Kill a Mockingbird? Atticus Finch.
But you let me finish.
Just while Christopher DeCoste is checking with co-counsel, does anyone know what the story is with Luis Rivera's neck tattoo? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's in the first trial, 2019, he didn't have any tattoo on his neck. Then in the second trial, 2022, he had this intricate, extravagant tattoo on his neck. And then in the third trial, 2023, it was gone again. And okay, yeah, I know in prison people do tattoos and stuff like that, but couple of problems. One, can they be that intricate? And I thought it was just, you know, love and hate written on your knuckles, like really big letters, really thick ink, because they do it with like a ballpoint pen or something. But, and then the other thing is, people are trying to kill him, apparently. Are you going to sit down for a multiple hour tattoo session with someone having this sharp object right on your gullet? It just and then how did it disappear and come back? And it just I never really got that, but we'll get to that when we start our Luis Rivera series, which is coming up, guys. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the channel, comment on the video, and do the bell thing. Do you guys still have the stream? I don't know what's going on. It seems to have it's playing for me, but on StreamYard, it's just this black screen. Let me know in the comments, guys. Can you guys still see the video? Anybody there? Maybe I should stop the stream and start again. Okay. Okay, video is black. So we need to what? What do we do? What do we do? We're just about wrapping up on Christopher DeCoste, but it'd be nice to play it till the end. Let me see. We refresh. Just bear with me, guys. While you're waiting for this, you know what you should do? You should hit subscribe.
Happened here, despite your claims to the jury that you haven't. Ms. Adelson, we started this.
Okay, I think we're back.
Saying that this is all about you. It started with you because of this marriage, right?
No.
You got it, guys? Hey, Rabbit.
Well, you
Video
would try
on
to say
now?
that, but I don't agree.
Ms. Adelson,
Wait,
I'm going to make one final attempt through questions to implore you. You understand that you can't protect your brother Charles, who's going through this case, and protect yourself at the same time. You understand that, right?
I'm here to share the truth with you. I don't know how to answer the question.
Then please end the madness and share the truth. Will you please share the truth with this jury?
I've been sharing the truth since I walked in here. I've done nothing but share the truth.
You know what happened here, despite your claims to the jury that you haven't looked at anything, you haven't discussed with anybody, and you haven't confronted your brother. You know what happened here, right?
I do not know what happened here, and if I did, I would have shared it with the police 8 years ago.
You know that your brother went behind your back, don't you?
I do not.
Like he always does. This is something that he has always done, isn't it?
Not.
Nice bit of distancing language there, Wendy. I would have shared it with the police who haven't arrested me 8 years ago, Chris. Come on, Chris. Drop it, Chris.
You found out after that your brother had done this and gone behind your back. That's why you were thrown up at that dinner, right?
No, it's not.
You know that it didn't involve Katie either, right?
I don't know anything about
If you're not going to say all of that and finally give the truth, why don't you just admit to this jury that you're guilty?
because I'm not guilty.
One brief moment.
Why don't you just admit to this jury that you're guilty?
I got nothing further.
Redirect.
End the madness and find out who did this. Little bit of Georgia here.
You were asked about the reason why you stopped contact.
Love it when Georgia comes back for redirects. You know, she always just tweaks it up a little bit. Is this the one where she says, but sure what? No further questions. Love it.
Contact for a period of time between your ex-husband's parents and your children.
Yes.
And you referenced a letter that you characterized as the grandparents threatening to put the children into foster care. Is that an email that was sent from the Markels to my office?
Yes.
Okay. And that was in reference to, in the event that you and the people that care for these children, who at the time were very young, were arrested, that the grandparents wanted to make sure, because they live in Canada, right?
They do.
They wanted to make sure that a specific organization could be contacted to care for the children, so that someone was there to care for them until a relative could get there.
I don't
Right.
remember the bit about a relative getting there.
Okay, well, they weren't just going to leave them in foster care, right?
I don't know.
Okay. But the specific nature of the email, you will agree, was in the event that there's some kind of mass arrest, because they don't know who's getting ready to go to jail next, right? I mean, they're not privy to the investigation any more than you are, right? Law enforcement investigations, they're secret.
Sure.
Okay. And their concern, would you agree the concern ultimately in the email was for the care of the children?
The concern was to make sure the children were under good care, but as their mother, I know they're always under good care with me.
Right, but
Really?
No need for
email
foster care.
contemplated you not being available to care for them.
That's not possible.
Because it's not possible for you to get arrested.
Yeah, those crazy Canadian Markel Jews. They just phoned up and said we want them to be in foster care. with like a really wicked foster family that will make them work like Cinderella.
Arrested.
Correct, because I've done nothing wrong and I believe in our justice system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just wanted to clarify the nature of that. In this case, you were asked about, why aren't your parents coming to testify? You, as you mentioned, gave a police interview in this case, right?
Correct.
And consented to the search of your phone, etc. You gave testimony in this case, right?
Yes,
All right. And your parents did not, correct?
they did not give testimony.
They have not testified. They
They've
have
been
not
asked
given a
to
police.
come testify, but they would if they were asked.
Okay. And have they given any police interviews?
They would have, but the police never contacted them.
The police did contact them, didn't they? And they refused.
No,
Are they represented by counsel?
they are represented by counsel.
And they'll come testify if we want them to.
If they are under state subpoena, just like I was, they would come testify.
All right. And do you know what they would testify to?
They would testify to whatever they know.
Do you know what they know?
I have no idea what they know.
Okay. They've never told you.
No,
You've never asked them
no.
because you never had any conversations with them about this murder.
I've been advised by my counsel not to.
All right. So
Yeah, like what I do is I wake up in the morning and I just start following the advice of counsel. Sometimes before I brush my teeth, I call up John Lareau and I say, listen, I was thinking of using Tata protection, but I might go with the new limited edition 24-hour care toothpaste. Can I have your permission?
nobody, including your brother Charlie, has admitted or denied to you any involvement in the murder one way or the other.
Correct.
Same with your parents.
Correct.
All right. One moment, please, Your Honor.
Okay.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank
You
you.
want her subject to recall?
No, sir. She's free to go about her business.
All right, you're free to go. Thank you.
She got those same flat shoes on that she had on in Charlie's trial. The same. This is like her courtroom attire, what is that about? Those horrible flat shoes.
All right, let's put Ms. Rodriguez back on the stand and complete her cross-examination.
Oh, Jessica Rodriguez. She's very good. I like her. She's like a no-nonsense ghetto nail salon. Hey, look, there's John Lareau with his black eyes going through the door back into the demon mobile. Look at that bag. He's probably got in that bag the souls of 17 Bangladeshi orphans.
At this point, Mr. DeCoste, are you prepared for that?
Actually, Your Honor, we're going to waive cross on Ms. Rodriguez.
That's mentor lawyer. I can tell from the back of his head.
So we've completed the testimony then of Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Has Ms. Rodriguez been informed of that?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay, state may call its next witness.
The state calls Officer Bill Brannon.
Bill Brannon, please.
Okay. Well, I'd be tempted to do Junum Chinder, but I think she deserves her own playlist. Why don't we do a little bit of a bonus feature, guys, and just head over to some Charlie Adelson jailhouse phone calls. I'm looking for kind of a short one. Well, I guess we can stop her. Hey, look, there's one of my videos. Funny. The algorithm seems to be doing its thing, guys, a little bit. But hey, you know, all subscribers count. You're all as important as each other. So hit that button, hit the big bell. And what about this one? Wendy under the bus again. Oh, what the hell? That's what I just said. Oh, I see. Wendy under the bus again. Let's have a look. Well, this one, I guess. We don't have to. Yeah, yeah. Usually I can always focus on something like jet skis or sushi or you know, young Asian women and now it's just the appeal. And I've already been focusing on the case. So the case and the appeal doesn't look very good, to be honest. I mean, there's not much for me to use. You know, must be tough, Jelly, sitting in your little box, eating that food, huh? That good old prison food. I mean, imagine that, hey? Never having. I mean, it's bad enough with you're locked away in the concrete shitbox. Your pillow is fire retardant and made of like plastic, and the toilet paper sucks, and you know, there's no privacy. You have to have permission for everything. Your freedom is completely gone. But every day when you eat, you have to think, I will never look at a menu in a restaurant again and just order some like you know when you go to somewhere to eat that's on a good recommendation from a friend, and it doesn't have to be a fancy place, just good food, you know, it could be a fancy place, whatever. You know, someone said, hey, look, you got to try this place, they do a great plate of food. And you go there and you order and it's fantastic, right? They bring you a plate, it looks great, it tastes great, maybe a little dessert after, you know. Never gonna do it again. I imagine that would be like one of the toughest things. You know, the pillow you can kind of get used to, going to the bathroom, you know, you can get all the rest of it. But the food, man, what a drag. You could never like order food to be delivered. Like, hey, you want to order a fucking pizza? Let's order 2 pizzas and sides and just sit on the couch and eat and save some for tomorrow, heat it up in the oven so the cheese gets all like hovered, you know? Great. Maybe a few dips, sauces. Never gonna do it again, man. Dan made it for a 5th grade level, but he didn't consider that we're in Tallahassee. So even if he'd have made it for a 3rd grade level, they still wouldn't have been able to understand. In fact, he took all the words off the page and just put a picture of a highlighted picture of me leaving jail and a big green check mark next to it. And they still didn't get it. It just didn't penetrate. I mean, how do you penetrate into the mind of Tallahassee? It can't be done. It can't be done. They didn't listen. What I'm interested in, he does this. He's full on in the phone calls. I mean, obviously they're being a little bit careful on the phone and not saying what they're really saying because they can't. But basically what he's saying is Wendy completely messed this whole plan up because she drove to the crime scene. It's her fault I'm in here. And if she didn't go there, maybe I wouldn't be in jail for the rest of my life. But what is he trying to achieve? It's not like that's going to be on the appeal. Does he want, like, Donna can't do anything with the information. I mean, I think what he wants is for Donna to have sympathy and understanding for his position, like he didn't mess it up. This guy, this 47-year-old little boy just really wants to please his mum. I mean, it's ridiculous. Needs to be seen as a golden child, a diamond child. You know, it. But he keeps going on about it. Like, if she didn't go to the crime scene, then they wouldn't know that it was us. You know, but it's just like, okay, shouldn't we be having a productive conversation about the next steps? What does Dan think? What does Rashbaum think? You know, what about the appeal? Do we have anything we could use? What are the cases that you could use for the appeal? You could say that ineffective assistance of counsel. Well, they're both on the phone saying he did a fantastic job. So that's not a good start. The judge was corrupt. Well, good luck with that. I think old Stephen Everett's a pretty tight button down, folded, ironed, tucked in shirt of a judge, you know. He knows where it's at. What else can you say? The jury was compromised. Well, you spent $1 million on a jury selector, you know, all of these things that they did kind of shoot themselves in the foot for the appeal, right? It's kind of funny. Yeah, that's what he's saying, isn't it? That's his motive here. He's saying all the stuff I did was really good, and the stuff you did, Mom, and the stuff Wendy couldn't help herself, Mom, and you know, I didn't mess this up. There's no other reason. There's no other productive reason for him to be saying any of this, and it's not helping. He just said she couldn't help herself, meaning she knew. I mean, he's got this obsession with the mob, you know. Do you remember Paul Castellano and John Gotti when John Gotti came in and he got him in the steakhouse and he had the cigar still hanging out of his mouth? Oh man. I always feel like Donna's a little bored on the phone with Charlie, but knows that he hasn't got anyone else to call or listen to him or whatever, and it's just kind of doing something else at home, like letting him talk and just saying the bare minimum to like go, yeah, yeah, okay, uh-huh, yeah, oh no, sure, sure, no, yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I just seen the comments about no audio on this this call. Ah. Okay. So, is there audio on the call now? Well, I don't know what happened with the audio, guys. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say. Fucking Europe. I'm amazed that we even have the internet here. It's not like in the US where all of your audio problems are just non-existent. But let's try Chris Watts, and then we're quitting for the night. Too many tech issues. We got to keep that algorithm going, man. Subscribe to the channel. Come back for more. Just have a quick walk through this Chris Watts. One more bonus piece. Yeah, they could have gone on foot or in a car, or they could have, Shanann could have held the two girls, one under each arm, and then just jetpacked into space. Doesn't he look like he's on match day? Like talking to the cameras in the tunnel. Yeah, so we hit the spread, and the defense was really strong, and yeah, maybe Dr. Zap came round and just zapped them into oblivion, and yeah, they must have her phone was here. So maybe they went into the phone and they're trapped, like on a video on the phone. That's funny, isn't it? 3 and 4. That's the same age as the Markel kids at the time of Dan's Professor Markel's shooting. Yeah, right now I don't really want to throw anything out there except for this big thing that I'm just about to throw right out there, okay? How did that line go in his head? You know, if someone has them and they're not safe, uh, I want them back right now if they're not safe. I mean, if no one doesn't have them and they are safe, then that's okay. Her people, she gets busy. But if they're not safe, then I want them back. Yeah, that's the worst part, the not knowing. Because when I know things, they're okay. But when I don't know, it's all up in the air, and they might not be safe. So I want them to bust in the door and barrel rush me. I bet that's a true story, right? Can you imagine being in that house? The cops have been in there all day asking you questions about your missing family. The friend is looking at you like you're a crazy murderer, and then you're alone with the door shut, and there's silence, and the lights that are usually on aren't on, and it's just weird. And you're looking at the staircase where you dragged the body of your pregnant wife down a matter of hours ago before you loaded her into the footwell of your F-150 with your kids. And you're sitting there and you're thinking, shall I order a pizza? Oh no, I'm on the Thrive diet. I'll just have a protein shake. Kids. That's your lifeline. That's your spouse, kids, family, and then me, and then spouse and kids, and family and home and lifeline, and it was a ghost town. No, I missed that. I missed that a lot. Yeah, and I will miss that forever because I killed them and put them in oil tanks. And the cops, Tammy and what's his name, Graham, are watching this, going, "Okay, so we know it was him. Now, what can we use to get this guy?" It's okay, Chris. You can still watch Bubba Guppies from jail on a tablet. Okay. Yeah, there were storms around the nation, storms in my heart, and I killed them all. What do you mean you'll leave it at that? We had an emotional conversation. We were both bawling, and it was an emotional conversation. But I'll leave it at that because I'm a very private person, and I don't want to share anything about my personal life with you, TV people. Can't you tell how much I want them back by this huge, ridiculous grin on my face? From Maine to Florida to San Diego to Seattle to the four corners of the nation. There were storms on the nation, and the four corners are out looking for the girls. Wow. Can you imagine if he was an actor auditioning for a part in a movie and they said, okay, actor, now the scene is your wife and children are missing and the TV and the FBI are here and the TV want you to communicate with Shanann, who might be in a hostage situation, and you're desperately going to appeal to her and the mean terrorists that have kidnapped your children, and you're going to want them back. So focus on your fear, focus on your motivation, and action. And then the actor produced this. Okay. It was good. It was good. We've got a lot of other people to see, so someone will definitely be in touch. All right, guys, couple of hours. Sorry about the audio tonight. Lost the audio. Something bad with the audio. What are you going to do? There was just so many damn comments I didn't see until it was too late. So anyway, are we doing one tomorrow? Yeah, I think we're probably doing one tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to go straight to Wendi Adelson 2023 testimony in in Charlie Adelson's trial. I kind of get the feeling with that because that's going to be our first video that involves Daniel Rashbaum. I'm kind of thinking maybe before we get to Wendy's testimony in Charlie's case that we should cover maybe the opening statement by Daniel Rashbaum. So undecided. But yeah, we'll be around tomorrow, guys, around the same time, around between 5:15 EST. See you all there. Subscribe to the channel. Good night.